Hey guys, and welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that golfers make time and time again, how to fix these technique issues, really get you playing better right away. So the first one is probably the number one fundamental. I call it the number one fundamental in my Top Speed Golf system. We have 5 keys in the system. This is the most important for your consistency. A lot of players have a tough time when they're hitting a driver or when they're hitting irons, making that clean contact on the ball time and time again. We chunk one, we thin one, we hit off the toe and the heel, and a lot of that comes down to our body is moving around all over the place, or at impact we're too vertical, we're too up and down, and we can't release in front of the golf ball. So let's start out with the first and most important piece of this stable fluid spine, which is at impact, we want to be tilted away from the target about 20 to 25 degrees with our upper body. So that's meaning that if you looked at my belt buckle up to my sternum and my chest, I'm going to tilt that away until that's angled away from the target. Now from there, what that allows me to do is now that my body's kind of angled forward, I can release this club past the golf ball, in front of the golf ball there, and the golf ball just gets in the way. So it helps me to get my hands leading the way to release that club in front, and now the golf ball is just kind of getting in the way, and I can do that time and time again. Now if I'm too vertical, what ends up happening is I can't really release in front very easily. So what ends up happening, that over the top move, I kind of hit at the golf ball. So here my spine is straight up and down. Very difficult. I have a hard time visualizing swinging up there. So I'm swinging at the golf ball. I'm casting and losing a little bit of forward shaft lean. And you can do it that way, but it's just a whole heck of a lot harder. Your timing and your precision has to be 10 times more when you're up and down hitting at the golf ball. But if I tilt away a little bit, now I can just swing through the golf ball and release in front. So in order to make that even a little bit easier, now that we know that that happens, and another thing here I'll mention real quick is what I did to kind of verify this. I took all the major winners since the year 2000. I filmed their driver from face on, and I measured that angle of their upper body. And I think the pros were 20.74 degrees tilted away from the target. So just a little over 20 degrees. And in the Top Speed Golf system, we recommend somewhere between 20 and 25 with the driver. That way it really ensures that you're releasing up there. So it's not just something I'm saying, we have some proof that the pros are doing this. Now, the second piece of this, which pros may differ on a little bit, but I think it makes it a lot easier, is if I set up at address with a slight bit of tilt away, and I go to the top of the swing with a slight bit of tilt away, that makes it really easier to stay tilted away when I'm at impact. If I'm over here to my left at address, and at the top I have a reverse pivot and my body's tilted to the left, now I'm gonna have to fall back into a totally different position at the downswing. Again, doesn't mean that it can't happen, but my timing has to be a lot better. So start out with this. Let's get that spine from moving around all over the place. I want you to tilt slightly away from the target. We say 6 to 8 degrees at address. We're gonna do a practice swing, so I'm gonna scoot away from this ball. I'm gonna be 6 or 8 degrees tilted away at the top, and then as I shift my weight to my left, that's gonna increase a little bit more. So my hips are leading the way a little bit, my angle gets a little bit bigger, and man, that makes it easy to do. So take 15 to 20 practice swings, slight tilt at address, slight tilt at the top, and then a tilt away as you're coming on through. You'll even notice as I come to my full follow through, since my chest is nice and high, I'm even tilted slightly away at the top of the swing. Now, if you're not very flexible, maybe you feel like your lower back doesn't have very much room to move, one thing you can do to relieve a little stress off that lower back is as you come on through, I can be more stacked up, just straight up and down. I don't want to do this a lot. Some players start to do, good players, because it actually helps you to hit the ball pretty well, end up doing this reverse C type move sometimes, and that's a little bit overboard. But if I can get that really nice and consistent, man, I can just hit drive after drive right down the middle of the fairway without having to worry about it. All right, so piece number 2 is we have to have the right angles. That really makes it tough for people. And I have a great drill called the NASCAR drill. So in NASCAR, you remember, you just turn left. You basically just turn left over and over again. And that's what we're gonna feel like. If we had a steering wheel here on the downswing, I feel like I'm turning this steering wheel to the left to release the club. So in my backswing, what happens is I'm rotating this around to the right. If I get kind of halfway back here, we're just gonna make some half back swings. I've basically turned this where my hands are on the side. So it'd be 9 and 3 on the clock here. If this is 12, this is 6, I'd be 9 and 3. And as I go back, that's where I'm gonna be. Now on the downswing, I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this to where I'm here square again with my hands on the sides here, but I basically turned this 90 degrees in the downswing. I'm gonna do a little extra. I'm gonna feel like my right hand and what would be my club face is getting on the outside of the golf ball. So I'm actually turning this wheel a bit more as I'm coming through contact. And then as I come on around, I'm gonna continue to turn that wheel to the left. So if I turn this wheel to the left, that's gonna help me to hit a draw. It's gonna help me to release the club and to get that feeling of the club coming around to the outside of the ball. What 90% of people do, so if you're probably a 7 to higher handicap, I'm willing to bet a decent amount of money that you're probably leaving the club face open a little bit. Maybe you get a little bit of a fade on there, a little bit of a weaker shot, and we'll also add some loft, which we'll get to here in a second. So I want you to feel like we're gonna go ahead and release this more, but one thing you'll notice is if I turn this way, I don't wanna release this club by coming out and turning it like that. So I'm not coming out, I'm letting this club stay, or this steering wheel stay in. So you notice here, it's kind of lined up with the center of my body. I don't ever want to get that steering wheel outside my body. It's going to come from the inside, but the hands are going to rotate at the same time. So that's just a good way to feel it. You don't have to have a steering wheel. You can just visualize that, or if you have something that you can turn, that's really going to help you with it. Now let's take it with the golf club. So as I do the same thing, we'll do a little mini half backswing. There's my steering wheel to the right. Now I'm going to let my hands still come from the inside, but I'm going to turn that steering wheel until my club face is wrapping around the outside of the ball. I don't want my face to be open on the inside of the ball. It's coming around the outside. Now, if I overdo this a little bit, my ball is going to start to hook and go to the left. But that's the exact opposite of a weaker kind of slice. It's going to get you more power and more speed if you do that. Then you can just tone it down to get that nice straight shot. The second piece of this is I got to de-loft my club face. So there's two different angles that people really struggle with. Number one, the face is too open. We just covered that. Number two is we're getting too much loft on this club, and now it's not taking that loft off and feeling like it's transferring all the energy into the ball as we're hitting it. So what I want you to feel here is I'm going to twist these hands down, just like I'm turning this club down. So now the face is turning more down to the ground. That's de-lofting the club. As I continue into the downswing, now I'm going to have forward shaft lean, and I'm going to be de-lofted. Now with the driver, just like we talked about in the stable fluid spine, because I'm tilted away, even if I feel like I'm de-lofted, you notice how this shaft really isn't leaning forward very much. It's just barely forward a couple degrees, if anything. That's the feeling that you want to have. So take those two keys. I got to get out. I got to get on the outside of the ball, do that NASCAR steering wheel turn. And number two, I have to de-loft the club to get a lot more energy into the golf ball. If I can put both those together, man, we can really let it rip. Okay, so the last piece we're going to talk about here is freeing up that golf swing. That's the third big mistake I see. We get too ball bound, we get locked up on trying to hit this golf ball, and we don't rotate back and we don't rotate through. We end up just picking it up with our arms and getting really quick and tight and just trying to muscle through it. Well, I got a great little drill here called turn and talk. So I'm imagining somebody's standing here beside me, and as I make my backswing, all I'm going to do is I'm just turning toward them like I was going to talk to them. And then as I'm making my follow through, instead of somebody being in front of me, they're actually going to be a little bit over here to my left, and I'm going to let my right foot come all the way up, just like I was going to turn, face them, and talk to them. That's essentially what the golf swing is. As we go back, we're turning this way. As we go down, or through, we're turning this way around our body. Now the only difference there is that I'm staying in my posture. So when I turn and talk this way, and this way, I'm kind of going level with the ground. Now I'm going to tilt everything forward, my body forward, and as I turn this way, I'm keeping my posture. As I turn this way, I'm keeping my posture there. Now, as you come on around, you will eventually come out of your posture, so it's okay to stand up and be nice and tall in your follow through. But do that drill for me. Go ahead and make your hands kind of swing like this is an angled piece of glass. And as I turn back, I'm really loading up. My arms going past the golf ball, past 90 degrees with my shoulder turn. And as I come on through, I'm coming to here, and then I'm coming to my full swing on that way. That's going to get you so much freer. That's going to get that body moving. And what that does is it gives you all kinds of time to build speed with the golf club. Now I can really swing this golf club back and swing it through and let the momentum of the golf club get me a lot of my speed rather than trying to muscle it with just my hands and arms. So let's go ahead and try that one out. Good full turn on the backswing, good full turn on the follow through. Let's go ahead and give it a rip without trying to overpower it. Yeah, nice draw there, hit that one pretty well. So good luck, guys. Take those 3 keys, those 3 big mistakes, apply them to your game. It's gonna make golf so much easier, so much more fun. All right, guys, so I got an awesome bonus for you. In this video, we talked about de-lofting the club a little bit, but we really didn't get into detail of what I call the move. This is the move that all the pros are doing to square up this golf club. And we're gonna do a great video, a preview of the tennis racket drill, where I show you how to square up the tennis racket early, or your club face, your golf club face early, get that forward shaft lean so you can start compressing that golf ball like you never thought possible. I'm gonna play a preview of that here in a second. Just go ahead and click the card that pops up on your screen or down below in the description. I think this is gonna be a huge light bulb that goes off and makes golf a lot easier for you. Let's go and get started. Good player problems. We're gonna talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it. The flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time, I'm going to be rotating my hand.